4 wild stories, 1 messy ride. Freaky Tales promises retro madness, but does it deliver freaky or just weird? If you like movies that feel like a lost VHS tape from the wrong side of town, smash that like button and hit subscribe for more cult movie reviews and deep cuts. Freaky Tales is an anthology movie set in 1987 Oakland, where 4 interconnected stories unfold. Gangsters, punks, supernatural forces, and old-school justice collide in a messy, neon-soaked fever dream. It stars Pedro Pascal from The Last of Us and The Mandalorian, Ben Mendelsohn from Rogue One and Animal Kingdom, along with Jay Ellis, Dominique Thorne, and Normani in one of her first major acting roles. Directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, who previously directed Captain Marvel and Half Nelson. Oh, and there was a legendary A-list cameo you're not going to see coming. I like anthology movies, Trick or Treat, Creep Show, mostly the horror ones. And this has maybe a little bit of horror edge to it. But each story kind of nails a different style, from like neon grime to punk rock chaos. The costume, soundtrack, and set design are dripping with late 80s vibes. Even though they probably don't show up for probably halfway through the movie, Pedro Pascal and Ben Mendelsohn steal about every scene that they're in. Them with pretty much the rest of the cast are committed to their performances, even when the material gets really weird. The whole movie has this sort of exploitation vibe. It's intentionally rough around the edges with this sort of grindhouse energy to it. And it's broken up into 4 stories, and the final story just goes full insane. Chaotic, violent, and pretty entertaining for what it was. So the first 3, they feel random and just stuff happens and it ends. There's no real structure to the story. In an anthology, it's like every story kind of has a build-up and a payoff, where they seem to be saving the payoff and the connection for the final story. And that final chapter tries to tie everything together, but it just feels awkward and forced. The rest of the movie kind of feels slow, a little meandering, and just not that freaky despite the title. It just seemed to go a little too far with the edginess and the wackiness. I'm not sure how I was supposed to take the green lightning and the green light that affects people. It just felt off. And I mentioned before that I like the rough around the edges look to it, which, while it was intentional, some of the effects felt like Sci-Fi Channel bad and not like charming retro bad. Directors Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck started with their gritty indies with Half Nelson before getting Captain Marvel. So this is basically their return to the roots. Now, I'm not totally favorable for this movie, but it seems like this has a lot of ties to Oakland. And here I am, like, in Chicago, so I'm probably not getting a lot of these references. But apparently it's like authentic 80s Oakland references and street names and local legends and just a lot of cultural nods that I'm not really privy to. It just seems extremely niche for that audience. That goes along with the soundtrack, just packed with obscure 80s tracks, deep cuts from punk, hip-hop, and funk. And practical effects were heavily used in this, even when it looked cheap. I guess it was part of the vision. And you had the themes of DIY justice and rebellion against broken systems, underground culture fighting against mainstream control, nostalgia for the rough, lawless energy of the 80s counterculture, and power through community and collective resistance. So for Freaky Tales, I'd probably have to give it a 2 out of 5. I just was not vibing with this movie. I'm past the whole 80s nostalgia trip that we've been having for the past like 10, 15 years. And it just didn't grab me. It didn't do anything special with the anthology structure. It's almost like a movie you could probably passively watch, because I didn't feel rewarded for paying close attention to the details in every story, which made the whole experience frustrating, because I was totally on board with the vibe of this movie. Like, it tried to be Repo Man, but I really dig Repo Man. This, not so much. So who would like it? Probably fans of gritty retro exploitation films, people who still love deep 80s nostalgia that I wouldn't like really recommend it to anyone expecting a tight, polished anthology or strong horror sci-fi edge. So what did you think of Freaky Tales? Which 80s cult classic deserves a modern remix? Drop your picks in the comments, and if you could survive a Freaky Tale, what would your story be? Make sure to hit like, it really helps small channels like this, and subscribe for more offbeat movie reviews. And I'll see you later. Bye.